What is up, everyone? It's your boy, Homeless Julia! I'm homeless because I'm still using free-to-play orbs, and I've decided not to spend a single orb with the legendary Julia banner because I can still use my regular one. But now, I'm really split as to what to do with those limited free-to-play orbs. So here's the problem. I was going to save for Salthus and Bailiff again because I discovered a truly deplorable build with Bailiff. However, we just now got our CYL refines for Brave Ike, and I'm like, what? Brave Ike is absolutely broken now. Honestly, I really regret having fathered him before because now I could have gotten him to plus 10, and instead I would have to summon for him again. And hindsight 2020, we had those renewal banners that offers him up for 4%, which was really good. That would have been a good shot at plus 10ing him. But, well, you live, you learn. Hopefully he re-rolls again. But anyway, so this leads us to today's discussion. The CYL weapons refinery. So, unlike the older weapon refineries, these ones are truly special and brings these Gen 1 heroes to match up with all that Gen 4 BST nonsense that's been floating around lately. Honestly, this time, mechanics trump stats. I'm really honestly surprised how goddamn awesome they are. So let's start with that Urvan. Now, Brave Ike reduces the first attack made on him, his sole Achilles heel, by the way, and now he blocks 40% less. He blocks 40% damage from his foe's first attack. It doesn't even mention player or enemy phase, magic or non-magic. He now just takes 40% less with no further condition or costs. Now, dude, that's not right. I don't know if they actually thought this idea through or not, but a 40% straight up reduction is massive. Okay? It also blocks, like, true damage and whatnot. And you know what? Even before that, you might as well just think of it as Ike having almost double defenses, like 80% more. Worst part is that, you know, it's like true damage gets blocked by this. It's like the definition of absolute defense. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what they were thinking with this. It makes Ike more tanky than people who use Cranial Buckler in Ragnarok Alliance PvP on the first hit. And on top of this, if enemies were to initiate on him, he gives them Despacito, so they hit him twice immediately and end up getting most of their damage wasted by Urban's 80% reduction. That's not right, dude. That's not right. Now, he can tank Burger King, he can tank Legendary Alm, he can tank just about anyone. You would need a fully concentrated blast of red magic to take him out. And you probably will still need to follow up. Because otherwise, he's just going to tank the attack and suck all that health back with that nasty Aether at the end of the end of the assault. Now, even without a bread, he can still pull it off if he has Times Pulse, because Urvan still has that cooldown reduction, and then you get that Times Pulse, so he has a 3-charged Aether that he can initiate on his 4th hit. So he doesn't need a breath. It doesn't suck all that much if he hits especially hard on his first attack of the Quick Repulse. But the idea is that he can still be self-sufficient without outside help, especially in situations where being near 2 spaces near Ike is still dangerous. You're gonna find situations like these. And now you can just kind of remotely control him like from a million miles away, and he can still handle himself. Anyway, so his tankiness also extends to the player phase, because when he goes on the attack, he will still tank that 40% less damage, and if he gets hit again, if he's just so slow, gets hit again, he gets the 80% reduction. Because you hit him, the enemy hits you back twice. So this allows him to safely set up the field with some kind of smoke. Attack smoke, pulse smoke, yada yada yada, or some kind of evil techniques that comes to mind. And right now I'll just use smoke as an example. So anyway, the only way to bring him down cleanly is to use an out-of-combat AoE skill to take his health down first. Thus, Ophelia would be a great candidate for killing Brave Ike. But, as aforementioned, if he were to carry Pulse Smoke or someone else Pulse Smoke, then Ophelia is pretty much dead in the water. I've used it a million times. Pulse Smoke is disgusting. When Ophelia is dead in the water, she's a completely useless unit. She's a completely useless unit in the face of Evil, ultra magic Ike. That's what I'm gonna call him, by the way. So, I think the guys in IS have an eternal hard-on for Ike. Free to play just got an extremely useful tool. In fact, it's so useful, I don't even think you need skill to beat those maps anymore. Not that do in the first place, but still, anyway, I would treasure him and stop bothering him, and, well, honestly, I would do the same thing for Legendary Ike at this point. It's a good precedence, because I think that they might turn that one busted, even the regular Ike. Yeah, I'm sure when Legendary Ike or regular Ike gets refined, they're gonna do it together, like they did with Elliewood and Brave Roy. So seriously, anyway, this stupid Urvan, it barely has any weaknesses. He's practically invulnerable. Well, I suppose we still have the 6 Paths of Pain plus. So as long as those guys are around, your HP will never truly be safe. As such, I think that Null C Disrupt might be worth picking up as a B slot for Ike. But anyway, now that he gives Desperation to the attacker, and with Null C Disrupt, Distant Counter is no longer a stupid choice for Brave Ike. There's no HP conditions to this Desperation thing, so you know what? In fact, it makes him much more lethal, since you can't screw it up, with both effects taking place in the enemy phase and no other conditions. It's true that, yeah, well, you know, he would have to give up his breath to use the A slot, but what does it even matter? Because Lucina's Refine exists. Thanks to her, you don't even need to sacrifice any more Brave or Legendary Ike forever. It's really stupid. Now, let's go and start with that. Lucina's Skier Goggle, or whatever way you pronounce it, now gives 3 to all stats. On top of this, gives him a breath skill. What? Compared to the likes of Prince Overdrive Marth, who gives 2 to all stats, and the Queen's Watchdog Corin, who gives 6 to all stats with support. I suppose Marth would give 4 to all stats with support as well. As long as you have someone who does physical damage, that person you as support with Lucina will have a potential 5 to all stats in between both of them. And of course, there's a breath on top of that. So, you know, that's incredible. That's so incredibly stupid. The stupid setup is practically begging to be used with Brave Ike with Distant Counter. Or, well, just about anyone, really. What's worse, the extra resistance will add to Ike's already overbearing strength. Thanks to new Urvan, that 5 resistance might as well be 9 resistance. And if you were to stock even more resistance, Brave Ike might as well be invulnerable. Now, on top of this, what makes this build even more scary is that Lucina's ability doesn't care if you're infantry or not. So if you're to pairs with someone like Ares, for example, you can set up a system where he builds up whatever skills he's using to its maximum quickly for him to start spamming it. Now, other than all the support options we've talked about, she also gets Dragon Slayer on top of this thing. So, you know, just in case there's a dragon that needs his ass stabbed or something, she can make a quick little stab and have Brave Axe toss her ass backwards. Seriously, you pretty much win forever with this combo. And Ike is free to play now! Like, seriously, what is her thinking? Now, next up, we have our boy Roy, who kind of fell by the wayside for a long while, and to Sigbert of all people. Back with a vengeance! This evil Roy now dishes out 7 speed, 10 defense, prevent enemy follow-up, yada yada yada, and a goddamn special fighter on top of it for horses, as long as he gets to initiate. Why not, right? That's absolutely insane. He now surpasses everyone in the Galeforce division. And because of this stupid refine, he now even has his A slot and seal slot open for something like, oh, I don't know, something stupid like Swift Sparrow 3 and Steady Blow seal. And probably even better seals as they come along. Well, you know, that's what I would say, actually. But I think that he might have overdone it a little bit. At this rate, he might even kill someone before he Gale Forces away. But then again, guys are pretty tanky these days, so I think that's pretty much a moot point. You can probably land your 2 shots easily. Now, I think that Giant Eyeballs, also known as the original Elliewood, might be a little bit better than his son in using this technique. Sure, yeah, I mean, he's a little bit slower, but all that extra resistance ensures that he is going to be kept rather healthy against dragons when they do their counterattack in the whole gale forcing process. Yes, I think compared to that 20-something resistance, Eliwood's 30-something is much better. I think he's a rather great candidate for a feather project as a result. I would definitely look into building him. Now, other than the obvious weaknesses for being player face only, this weapon is absolutely incredible, and I think that you should definitely start investing on a 3-star Eliwood term in the 5-star eyeball destroying nonsense. Now, finally, we have the less incredible one. It looks bland. We have City Mongolian Lyn and her Mulagir refined. So, she just needs to be speedier than someone, and she gets 4 to all stats. It looks really bland, right? But I would not underestimate that if I were you. Now, if, say, Lyn just has 1 extra speed over someone, she's going to immediately double them. So, being doubled mercilessly, and, you know, really being able to negate stats to bow, staff, tome, dagger, all range units instead of just the originally just magic, is actually a pretty huge deal. It's like having a Divine Naga on your thing. Especially, you know what, with things like bonus, doubler, or something like that running around, it's really good to weaken the enemy defenses as you mercilessly slaughter them. Now, if you were to, say, give up Sakei's Blessing and use Dull Close, you negate everything. Which is an option, because depending on whether you'd like to deal more reliable damage or not dying from counterattack, I don't know. I mean, I kind of wish that they worked on Sakei's Blessings a little, because it's really weak as a beast slot now. And since beasts aren't affected by it, I mean, then again, besides Genghis Khan and Nyla, there really isn't that counterattacking counter-attacking beasts, right? I suppose there's Keaton too, if you were to give him DC, though I really don't see the above all that often, and Genghis usually just run like DD4. But still, Distant Defense 4. Yeah, I think he would use Distant Defense 4 over Distant Counter, and I think it makes him so much tanky. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, Genghis comes with DC. That's right, what was I even thinking? Oh man, I have brain damage. But anyway, be that as it may, in the end of the day, you still have Brave and Fire Sweet Bow as your side dishes. Those are never going to go away, 4 stats to all or no. As a result, her weapon isn't blatantly strong like the others, but I honestly, seriously think there's value in disabling enemy stats like that, bonus stats like that. There's really value into doing this. I would seriously consider Mulagir more than before. But anyway, that's just about wraps up my opinion time on the CYL weapon refines. I suppose some of you might ask how I feel about the recent Dancer banner, so I'll talk about that briefly. It's so stupid! Reinhardt and Ishtar's aren't even dancers. With their inflated BST, they're now effectively flying Reinhardts. Give the man a legendary Azura, and you're basically looking at the same thing, except he flies over trees too while he's at it. Alright, okay, I get what they're thinking. So now, your Dancer has a lethal weapon at their disposal in case a situation demands for it. Still, I don't know, man. I still can't help but feel that it kind of defeats the purpose of Dancers in the first place, if they become regular units themselves, and as AI, they become easier to bait as a result. Besides, when you use a Dancer, you dance, and the enemy moves ahead, you get left behind, so generally you just don't see that much action to a Dancer like this. You have to use them as a regular unit. But as regular unit goes, Dire Thunder on air is just too much for some people to deal with. It's not right. But anyway, I'm at least happy for Berkut and Rinea. Now, Berkut power creep poor Azura, who now gives 4 to all stats, and Nephany is, well, a complete mess, shall we say, with 157 BST bow Dancer. The bow is and I think that Nephany would be a decent unit, but again, we have the whole Dancer thing. Honestly, the whole banner, the whole banner really isn't my thing. Now that I have Legendary Azura, Queen of all dancers, I mean, what does it matter? I mean, okay, alright. It used to matter when I actually cared about Arena Assault some years ago, where we needed, like, different dancers. But I stopped caring about that. And even if I were to care again, my healers already have 2 dancers for all 7 fights, so I'm pretty much set. Anyway, that's about it for this abridged Dancer series. I know dancing is everything, but I honestly think that bulkier dancers such as Xian are still better. A strong enemy phase is scarier than a player phase for a dancer. Doesn't get in the way of the jobs. Ooh, there is one more thing. One more thing, Jackie! That I almost forgot. Now, there's actually one other way to counter Brave Ike, and that is to use Hardy Bearing. Since his stupid weapon gives the enemy Despacito, you can actually work your way around that by using Hardy Bearing, which disrupts all, well, not disrupts, more or less corrects all combat orders. And so, Brave Ike will instead end up having to counterattack, in which case he breaks his weapon's ability to counter 80% of the damage, and the second attack, whoever is attacking, will rip him to shreds. So there is that. That is a solid way of stopping Brave Ike. Except, well, you know, who even uses Hardy Bearings except maybe Ophelia? And Ophelia has her own share of problems dealing with the Brave Ike. But, well, if you can actually survive the counterattack from Brave Ike, then that may work out. And of course, like I said earlier, you're not even gonna have Pulse Smoke, then Ophelia's just gonna wipe the floor with you. So, Brave Ike, while still very, very powerful, and I still think that is practically the strongest unit in the entire game, still has that weaknesses that you should look into. And in fact, if, say, weapons down the line, kind of like Baelus's Sword of the Creator, starts countering more. I mean, there is already weapons that counters the orders. There's Hardy Bearing weapons out there already. I think those are also transferable from the, as a matter of fact, the almost ending Hoshiden banners. So there's that, Hoshiden Dancer banners. So there's that you can go and pull yourself some anti-Brave Ike weapons if you so desire. Now, is Brave Ike going to be a problem in Aether Raids? Maybe if the player uses it, but again, enemy AI won't be able to use it properly, and players you can still shut down with that Hardy Bearing stuff. And I honestly think that despite all this, no, I suppose there is other ways to make this work, but we will have to talk about that some other time. I think I need some time to think over how to build Brave Ike and how to counter Brave Ike. It'll take a little bit of time. I need to do some Aether raids, I need to do some in Arena, I need to do all kinds of stuff so that I can have a more precise reading on how to deal with them. But for the moment, what I have laid out on the table should work. And yeah, I think Hardy Bearing really is a very underestimated seal. But, you know, no, not underestimated. It's just that there's so many different choices. There's so many better choices. There's so many different situations where you don't need it. It's a specific counter for a specific thing. It's just like how sometimes you don't really need Null Seed Disrupt. I mean, like, if you're not dealing with anything that ignores counterattack, then it's basically a wasted slot. So it's really, really, really tough to decide on, hey, you know, maybe this is a better idea, maybe that is a better idea. Hardy Bearing is something you should definitely have at least on one character, though. I honestly think that you should at least have one guy who can do it. A solid tank, an actual solid tank, for example, could do well with Hardy Bearing. Or an attacker that does not rely on something like Despacito or something like that. A solid, tanky attacker. You know what? the more I think about it, Brave yeah, Brave once again, not Brave Legendary Once again, Legendary oh my god, dude, Legendary with Hardy Bearing will probably wipe the floor with him. Yeah, you know what, that's not right, I gotta stop giving horrible ideas. We're gonna stop with this now. I thank you all for joining me today in this wonderful episode of Brave Ike is Overpowered. Until next time.